Smith in this is brilliant. I thought he played it really well. Again, Dame Judi Dench is the standout, but everything that she's in, she's always absolutely brilliant in it. If it doesn't do well at the Oscars, or if it doesn't get any nods at all at the Oscars, it should do pretty decent at the BAFTAs.
At number 2, it's Thor: The Dark World, or if you're Irish, Tor to Dark World.
Which I actually think is the strongest of the Avengers films, to be honest.
I would agree.
Yeah, because I thought Iron Man 3 was boring. I thought it was even more boring the second time I watched it. And the other films that leads up to the first wave of the Avengers, they start off well. The middle part is such a lull. The end part is they realise that they need the big action scene. With this one, it flows really well. Andy seems to have a problem with it. He preferred more drama in the movie. But I think because the way Marvel are actually looking at each one of the films in the series leading up to Avengers 2 or Age of Ultron, I think they would want to have each movie to be different to each other. So if you have two movies in the series where they're very heavy on the drama, and I think by the looks of it, Captain America is going to be the one where it's more heavier on the drama, I think that would have been stupid on their case. And they looked at this film and thought, well, Iron Man 3 had a lot of drama and it felt a little bit more smaller than Iron Man 2. And Captain America is going to have, again, that feel where it might have a bit more drama to it. We need something in the middle where it's all about the action, all about the set pieces. And that's what Thor was. It hit, I think it hit that the plus points on there.
At number 1, it's Gravity.
Which is a phenomenal film. This is a movie that needs to be seen in the cinema. I'm not sure about what it'll be like home viewing. And again, I'm not sure what it'll be like seeing it in 2D. From what I've heard, people have said that the 2D is still absolutely brilliant. But the 3D is just... I can't believe I'm actually raving on about 3D and how fantastic it is, because I hate 3D. And I was... After the first couple of minutes, I just didn't even realise the film was in 3D. And that proves that the 3D is done really well. Alfonso Cuarón actually thanks James Cameron. And James Cameron has said this is the best sci-fi film, the best space film. He also thanks Guillermo del Toro and David Fincher and Alexandra González Iñárritu, who he's actually worked with before. So it's interesting that he thanks a lot of those people to try and get this movie out. It took 4 years for him to make as well, because the technology was trying to catch up with what he envisaged. And Sandra Bullock is just, again, this is her standout role. She's brilliant in the film.
I'm guessing that this is going to be a contender come Oscar season.
It'll easily be contender. I don't think Sandra Bullock and George Clooney will be up for nominations for Best Actor and Actress, because the more you think about it, the more you think that the Oscar panel will look at and think, yeah, their characters are very simple, because their characters are simple and they're very simple roles. It should easily clear the board on the special effects side of things, on the visual effects side of things, on the sound as well, because the sound suits the movie brilliantly. It ramps up the tension, and when there need to be scenes where it's just absolute silence, there is a fantastic scene in the movie which, because Cuarón loves to add birth into films, add visual metaphors to do with birth into movies. And there is a scene which is very similar in this film like this, and there is no music playing whatsoever. And there's silence for about a minute. And in the screening that I went to see the film in, you could hear a pin drop easily. On the carpet as well, you would have been able to hear a pin drop because the silence was deafening. And it adds impact to the film. So the sound side of things and the visual side of things as well clear up the Oscars. It should get a nomination as well for Best Picture.
Brilliant. I'm still looking forward to seeing it. Hopefully we'll check it out very, very soon. Right, Stuart, thank you very much. What's happening this week?
Well, you've actually got a week where there's a lot of films out, to be honest. There's about 16. So completely opposite to last week. You've got Ridley Scott's new film, The Counsellor.
Which I'm hearing is not very good.
Yeah, and there is a scene in it involving Cameron Diaz in a car, which has been getting a lot of publicity.
Yes, funny, I heard about that scene today. Big Phil saw it. He said that the thing that struck him the most about it was that there's some really, really gruesome scenes in it as well.
Yeah, because it is an 18-rated film.
Mm-hmm. But that struck me as a bit strange, and I'm just wondering if, with things like Game of Thrones and TV and stuff like that, do they feel now that with movies, you really have to push the boat out a wee bit in these things, or, because Scott isn't really the kind of man to do that.
Yeah, I would agree, and a lot of critics seem to be siding with that. They seem to be thinking that this isn't a film that Ridley Scott should have been directing.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be his kind of film.
Yeah, because from what Phil was telling me about it, I really did think this doesn't sound like a Tony Scott movie. I mean,
Ridley Scott.
Sorry, Ridley Scott movie. No, is it Ridley Scott? Oh yeah, that's Tony Scott.
Ridley Scott.
Tony Scott, of course. So it did kind of surprise me because it's not too often Phil flinches, but he said that there are a few scenes in it. One scene with a biker helmet, and I think somebody gets garroted in it as well. And he really said they were really, it was rough, really rough watching.
Because, I thought, Gladiator was harsh for Ridley Scott's standard.
Well, apparently this really pushes the envelope.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm curious to find out what this whole Cameron Diaz car thing is.
Yeah. I
heard maybe tell me off air.
Yeah. It sort of reminded me a little bit of whenever Stallone was making the last Rambo movie.
Yeah.
Which is a bloodbath, which is a really gruesome bloodbath. And he said, in this modern age, you have to compete with movies like Saw and Final Destination. And I remember thinking, no, you don't. Those are totally different movies.
Yeah, those are horror movies.
You're making a horror movie. And I just was wondering, because I don't have a big problem with violence, but it can turn me off a movie.
Yeah, you can't just have violence for violence sake.
Yeah. I'd be the sort of person that if I hear something like that in a movie, even if I really want to see the movie, I'll be sort of thinking, really? I'm not looking forward to this. I don't really want to see this, So, but anyway, that's just me. Well, have you seen it, obviously, Stuart?
I haven't, because it's not officially out until tomorrow. I'm not allowed to go to press screenings. They don't even have press screenings in Sunderland. I think the closest to me will be down to London anyway, so it'd be nice to be invited to one. I have actually been properly invited to a couple, but I was invited to the Machete Kills press screening, and I went to see that on my own in the cinema. I was the only person in the screening as well, so you can tell how well that did. But I would love to go to press screenings of films, but the North East, to be honest, is just a nightmare for that kind of thing.
Okay, fair enough. Well, what else have we got next week?
But you mentioned Saw there is going to be an 8th film.
Yeah, I know, I heard that.
Yeah, Lionsgate think that a 3-year gap between Saw 3D and Saw 8 is big enough.
Yeah, well, was the last one not called The Final Chapter?
Yeah.
So what's this one, the final last chapter?
It's like the last exorcism too.
Yeah.
The never ending... Well,
the references.
You have Joseph Gordon-Levitt's directorial written debut, and he stars in it in Don Juan, or Don John, about a guy who's obsessed with sex.
I saw a trailer for this, actually, in front of Bad Grandpa, of all things. Strange looking.
Yeah, Phil saw it last night. He said it's actually very funny, and it's deeper than you might think. Oh, easy.
Careful now.
But he liked it. He thought it was quite good. He gave it 3 out of 5. But he said it actually surprised him. It was better than he thought it was going to be.
Yeah, this is the second film of the week as well that's rated 18. Mm-hmm. So there's a rare thing that 2 big 18-rated films out in the same week in the cinema. And so I'm the one who's actually going to be seeing this film. I'm seeing it on Saturday. And it'll be interesting to see why it's rated 18. I'm guessing it's down to the amount of pornography that's in the film. But there's a small British horror film called In Fear, which has only got 3 people in the cast.
Right.
And it's about a couple who were going off to this party, and they decide to stop off at this hotel because the man of the couple he's booked this hotel in the middle of nowhere, and they get caught out in a forest place, and something is attacking them. That's the basic premise of the film. It's got 3 people in the cast, and it's actually supposed to be really good. It's supposed to be. I hate it when they do this on the posters going, this year's Descent or something like that. Uh-huh. Stop comparing a movie to something else. Yeah, it's supposed to be as tense as The Descent. And I really loved The Descent. And I think The Descent was probably the last horror film that I saw in the cinema where I did feel a lot of tension. Because that is all about closed-in spaces. And this film's supposed to ramp up the tension. I hope I'm not building it up for myself. And when I go to see it on Saturday, I'll come out of the cinema going, that was rubbish.
You know you will, though.
Yeah, I will.
Right, so anything else?
Just The Butler, which is Lee Daniels, The Butler. It was championed by Oprah Winfrey. in America it did brilliantly at the US box office. It won't do well over here because it's not the type of audience for over here anyway. So she seemed to think it was an absolutely fantastic film. It's about a black butler who works for the president. And so, like I said, I don't think it'll do very well over here. I don't think it'll find that much of an audience, to be honest. And I wouldn't be surprised if this film out of the 4 don't make it in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Well, Stuart, listen, as always, it's been a pleasure chatting to you.
No problem.
And for anyone that's listening, if we've any first-time listeners, I'm sure a lot of the fans out there know who you are and where to find you now. But for anybody that doesn't, where's the best place to catch up with you online?
Well, you can catch me on Twitter at Cryptic Tadpole, or my show at Monday Movie Show. Monday Movie Show goes out live on a Monday, and it goes on Following the Nerd as well.
Okay. Stuart, until next week, sir, may the 4th? May the 4th?
May the 4th
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, may the 4th be with you as well, and that as well.
Stuart, take care, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheery bye.
Okay, I've just been chatting on the Skype while I was talking to Stuart there as well. Will Sliney. Will, of course, is a comic book artist from Cork here in Ireland.
Indeed.
In Ireland. And a damn good one he is too.
Indeed he is.
And he has just recently finished drawing... He's drawn the... hang on a second. My memory isn't quite what it used to be. Because he was drawing a thing called The Fearless Defenders with after a writer called Colin Bunn, and it stopped. It's coming to an end, and then everybody was kind of wondering what Will was going to be doing next. We caught up with Will, of course, recently at Dice.
Yeah.
But he was being very secretive. But in 2 weeks' time, his first issue comes out of Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Spider-Man. And it doesn't get much bigger than Spider-Man.
No, it does not.
You know, and I would imagine, I draw myself, I'm not a professional artist, but I would imagine if you were Spider-Man, he's one of those characters you just got to draw.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, for Dice, he had done the poster for Dice, and it was a picture. Have you seen the poster he did?
No.
It was Spider-Man hanging upside down outside the Dice comic book shop.
Oh, yeah.
At the Big Bang comic book shop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. It was really, really good. Now, whether Marvel had seen that or whether this was in the run before, I don't know. But Will is now officially one of Marvel's Spider-Man.
Well, that's fantastic news, and rightly deserved too.
Yeah, and I think that is really, really good. And of course, it's a great story for anybody out there, any local artists, any local talent out there. And I hate the word local. You know,
yeah.
Are you local at all? You know, it's like the League of Gentlemen. You know, but I hate that word. But for local artists out there who are thinking, you know, we can't do it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It can happen because Will is the perfect example of how it happens. You know, he's a really down to earth guy. He's a nice guy. He's a talented guy, and now he's drawn Spider-Man, which is pretty damn epic.
Yes,
so that hits in 2 weeks. But I've been chatting to him on Skype. I just saw him come online when we were talking to Stuart there, and he's going to come on the show in a couple of weeks. He's not. Well, there's no show next week. The week after that, it'll not be him, but it'll be the first week in December. He's going to be on the show. So look forward to talking Spider-Man to Will. So just
Brilliant.
let you know. Right now, we put out the Star Wars question earlier on.
Yes, we did.
We put it on the Facebook, and we asked, what did we ask?
We asked, what would the term be for Star Wars fans? Because, of course, Star Trek fans are Trekkies, Doctor Who fans are Whovians. What is the collective term for a Star Wars fan?
Mm-hmm. And it's not too often, because we were asked this. We said at the start of the show, when we were coming in tonight, we met Walter, who does the show before this on the station here, and he says, I was talking to a Star Trek fan the other day, and he said he's talking to a Star Wars fan,
yeah,
and he accidentally called him a Trekkie,
yeah,
and the guy was like, "Oh, I'm not a Trekkie."
Naturally
enough, and then he said to us, "What do you call Star Wars fans?" And it's not too often I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, because we were stumped at that.
I don't know. So we put it on the Facebook page. You know,
well, I'm going with Rebel. I like the idea of Rebel.
Well, we got some good ones. Okay, we got quite a few responses to this. Now,
wow, that's a lot of swear words.
No, it actually was quite clean. I was expecting a bit of slagging, but there wasn't any. It was quite good. Matthew McKee, Star Warriors. Julio Enriquez Martinez, Star Warriors. Darcy Langille, Superior. See what he did there. Marcus Benson, Warriors. Stuart Miller, who's just been on the show. According to Star Wars special that was made in the US, Star Wars fans are called Starwoids.
No, we're not.
No, we're really not.
We are not voids of any kind. Thank you.
Steve Malone, Forever Young. Yes, see what he did there. Paul Blotzer, Jedi. Benjamin Hart, The Human Race.
Indeed.
See what he did there?
Indeed.
See what he did
Indeed.
there. Larry Madey, Midichlorians. Kind of like that. Kind of like that.
Yeah, I know, but you're kind of naming that after something that's completely destroyed the kind of mythology of the Force.
Okay.